Hello, Colorado. It's Governor-elect Jon Collamer here. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of family history on the Collamer name, some of my political ideologies, and what I hope to accomplish becoming the first independent governor of Colorado. So the Collamer name, we go back to France. Collamer is French Colombier. We made cheese back in France. We came over here on some of the ships and discovered the New World with William the Conqueror, and we were part of the Battle of Saratoga in 1777. Anthony Collamer was also another famous Collamer. Then Jacob Collamer of Vermont was known as the Green Mountain Socrates. He was a congressman, a Supreme Court justice, lawyer, and Postmaster General under Zachary Taylor, the 12th president. So he had a lot of, tumultuous activities going on at the time. The annexation of Texas, the Lincoln administration, and the slavery coming up with the Civil War. So he was someone who had to think on his feet and to do what was right in times that sometimes or many times you had to go against what people were telling you they thought was right. So I hope to continue that legacy of honesty, loyalty, and respect for America and for the values of democracy. Now I understand that these times are so politically charged that I never actually saw myself becoming a politician, because to me politicians were someone that had to be dishonest and that had to basically back their team no matter what, which has led to a pretty heavy division in our country and basically just a lot of hatred towards good, hardworking, loving, family-oriented Americans. We're all the same people, I believe, deep down in our hearts. And when the economy is going good and people have their basic needs and necessities met, then there's a lot less stress, there's a lot less crime, there's a lot less anxiety, division, whatever you have it, right? So as governor, what my main campaign promise is to basically lead with some sort of truth, some sort of creativity and newness, adding some new blood, some new ideas, and passing the torch from this older generation to the newer, younger generation. Because why should people in politics be there for 30, 40, 50 years and they become so out of touch with the generation that they're supposed to be serving? So that's one of the reasons that I chose to run. The other reason was, for the last 5 years, I've been personally involved in the mental health care system in Colorado, and I've seen where we have the breaks. Unfortunately, Colorado ranks pretty high in outdoor education, innovation, technology, and physical health, but our mental health is dead last for some reason. So we also know that medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in the United States, and that bankruptcy, the number one reason for bankruptcy, is medical bills. So what that tells me is that we have a system that is not working, that is not making people healthier, and that is taking advantage of their monetary resources. So what I hope to do is to change our mental health care system in Colorado here to lead the nation in health and mental wellness instead of trailing it. I plan to do this by, we basically don't have enough professionals, right? If you go to call a psychiatrist or someone, you need some mental assistance, they say, oh, that's gonna take 2 or 3 months to get in to see someone. So I wanna stop the wait time from 2 to 3 months to like maybe 2 or 3 days at the longest. Because when people need help, they need help right now. So that's the first thing we want to do, is get more professionals in Colorado, right? How do we do that? Well, Colorado is the best state in the union, shouldn't be that hard. So we incentivize professionals to come to Colorado, offering loan forgivenesses from their schools, working with housing vouchers and covering some transportational costs. And then basically when they come to Colorado, they'll be like, why didn't I come here earlier? This is awesome. So we get more professionals in Colorado, right? We also, then number 2, we change the stigma of mental health. Most people don't even understand what mental health means. They understand the word mental illness, but they don't understand the word mental wellness. So we need to really speak about what we're hoping to create. And I want to create a society of mentally well people. So you'll hear me talking about mental wellness instead of mental illness. Another way that we can destigmatize these conversations around mental health is to go into the workplaces, to the schools, to the churches, basically anywhere, to any kind of community activity or gathering, and basically just make it more okay to be vulnerable, to speak about these confusing, inconsistent, chaotic, scary times that we're living in. There's a reason that people are depressed or anxious or suicidal, and putting pharmaceuticals on top of those, it covers up and it masks the actual true cause. There's cause and effects, right? So the cause of depression many times is lack of sleep, lack of exercise, poor diet, and lack of community and faith. So you fix those five things, and 90% of the time, your happiness sort of returns, right? So depression, to me, is a symptom that society is not serving the individual. It's not serving the passions, the creativities, the intellectual. It's not really serving very much, except for a very few people's capital interest, right? So that's the number 2 thing, right? To destigmatize it, to get more professionals into Colorado, and then also to build mental wellness centers, one in each congressional district in Colorado. These wellness centers will focus on very, I guess, common sense to me, but not very understood by a lot of people. Techniques to deal with conflict resolution, to deal with the daily stress and anxiety and depressions, to deal with technological safety, how to use phones and social media and not let them use you, and how to deal with basically conversation, right? 90% of the time when people are having a mental health crisis, they really just want someone to talk with. They don't even want anybody to fix their problems. They just want someone to speak with and say, yeah, I'm here, I'm a friend, you can talk to me, it's okay. So we're gonna get more of these wellness centers that focus on community, creativity, conflict resolutions, and violent de-escalations, budget management, things that actually manage, interpersonal relationships. How do you, speak with, the proper language, so you're not just pointing and blaming and shaming and then not getting anywhere and wondering why everything's always messed up. So these are the things that I want to change, right? Getting more professionals to destigmatize it and to create these wellness centers. And also the wellness centers will also have some volunteers, some paid professionals, because a lot of the times basically you just need to train people on how to just kind of have everyday common sense conversations with people and not project themselves onto the other person. Many times in the mental health settings, somebody tries to fix or solve some of the problems when really the person just wants to be listened to, and they were never listened to. They don't feel that they have a voice. They don't feel that they can express themselves. So these things are basically not really understood. So we need to train people, and we'll have some volunteers. We can also get first responders. I think that we should increase the budget. Right now it's only about 6 to 7% of the state budget. I feel that we should increase that budget to about 10% and get first responders, like EMS and police. And we need to get these people training in all of these traumatic situations, and then also trauma relief for themselves, because police are one of the highest rates of suicide in the nation. And so we need to help alleviate some of that pressure and that stigma also, and so allow these police officers, firefighters, whoever, to be able to express themselves and not to be looked at as ridiculous to talk about some of these things that are pretty disturbing for most people, right? So that's what I plan to do, and I can't do it without you guys. I'm running as an independent, and I put a lot of time and thought into this. I thought about some of my values do align with some of the Republican values. Some of my values do align with some of the Democratic values, some of the forward parties, some of the reform parties, But as far as it is, I don't really like taking orders from people, I've been accused of having, oppositional defiant disorder, which means I basically don't like being told what to do. And that could have something to do with being raised by my stepdad, who was a little maybe aggressive in his discipline, but I'm very glad that I got disciplined. And then basically just having people that have credentials, that use those credentials in ways that don't serve the communication and the respect between individuals, right? And so it's not easy. A conversation is a very tough thing, right? So we're going to work on conversation more also in the campaign, and just having people talk more openly. Most of the stuff is pretty common sense. I really feel that, unfortunately, the media and the two-party system and the way that we have our corrupt capitalist system right now, it doesn't allow as much opportunity for people to get into America and to just have affordable homes, to have quality health care that doesn't bankrupt them, you know, to have insurance companies that work with them, not against them, to have, you know, attorneys that aren't out there just trying to sue people so everyone can get rich. So we need to start just kind of like looking at what works, not looking at what is right or wrong, but what actually works for society. And that's what I'm excited about. And I'm very confident that I will win the election as an independent candidate for governor in Colorado. And this will be the first time in history that this has been done in Colorado. I feel it's the correct time, it's the right time, it's a time for change, it's a time for innovation, a time for creativity, it's a time for greatness, right? And it is a hard, challenging, chaotic, disturbing time right now. And I feel that having somebody who's, you know, dealt with, you know, economics and mental health and challenges in life, and I'm not afraid to speak to anyone. I can have a conversation with anybody, and I try to be open to learning still, and being more excited to learn than just to tell somebody what I know. So I try to keep that rapport going, that give and that take, and I think that's the most necessary thing for a governor to have, is to basically be the earpiece of the people, right? And I think right now people are so upset with the government because they don't feel they're represented at all. And I felt that way for the last 20 years. And I felt just disgusted at the government and the waste. And when you look into the actual numbers, you know, our budget, I think, is something like 14 billion, I think, a year. And then our our GDP is like 400 or 553 billion. Something like 30% to 40% of our money, it goes to medical, goes to the waste of medical. 40% of your income is going to medical expenses, and the number one reason for bankruptcy is medical expenses, and the third leading cause of death in the US is medical malpractice. And then all these SSRIs and all these pharmaceuticals that people get on seem to end up not being better placebo than just placebo, which is a sugar pill, or exercise, or getting sleep. We talked about the diet, right? And getting connected back to the community. There's a reason why your body gives you these symptoms, that you're not happy, that you're anxious, that you're full of anxiety, that you're confused. And you don't take a drug or a substance and think that that's going to change the situation around you. You know, we're learning more and more about serotonin and dopamine and everything, and they used to think that getting more and more serotonin was better, and now there's different data coming out that maybe lower serotonin is better and higher dopamine is better, because they're showing that the more serotonin you have, it's basically like, you know, when you're born and when you die and when you have deep dreams, your body releases dimethyltryptamine, which is very close to serotonin, right? And serotonin is also released and floods your body to basically deal with traumatic experiences. But if we treat all of life then like a traumatic experience, then basically you're just overloading yourself all the time with this, you know, neurotransmitter to deal with the cacophony and the chaos and the sadness of the world. Instead of making the world better, you just numb yourself. So that's sort of what I've been learning on my, you know, progression and understanding of the mental health care system in the nation and in our state. And I believe that all the people that I come across are doing the best they can. They're great people and they mean well. They are exercising and proliferating a broken system. And administration costs, such as getting rid of billing, problems with billing and going paperless, right? Getting broadband internet to everybody in the States so they don't have to go to people's houses and stuff when they need to upload forms or get something on the internet or something. This would eliminate billions and billions of dollars from the budget each year, and to help, you know, raise the standard of living for everybody. You know, I can sit here and talk about statistics all day long, but basically, no, we can't. Let's talk a little bit about statistics then, right? So, the wage increase has increased something like maybe 27% in the last 20 years, something like that. But then the cost of living increased like 34%. So it doesn't matter if you keep making more if the cost of everything is more than you're making each time, right? So that's why I like to talk about the cost of living. When people are having to get like housing vouchers and food vouchers and electricity vouchers, something's not working. And there's some statistic like 50% of America, including myself, doesn't have $500 in the bank. Don't have $500 in the bank. How am I possibly thinking I can win an election which other candidates are raising millions of dollars for? Well, that's just the whole point, right? So the other candidates are raising millions of dollars to try to basically buy their votes into the system. And Senator Mike Bennett already has a very low approval rating. So does Attorney General Phil Weiser and the Republican candidate Scott Bottoms, I think. They don't have a good approval. Nobody likes them. They're not likable. They're not people. They're positions, right? I'm an Attorney General. I'm a senator. Blah blah blah. Where's your humanity? Where's your personhood? You know, people get into politics and people wonder why they hate all the politicians because they never deliver on what they say they're going to do. That's why I would way rather, over-promise and I would way rather over-deliver and under-promise than over-promise and under-deliver, right? So that's why I'm basically focusing on mental health, because that's what we're crippled at right now. And when you improve your mental health, you improve your economic viability, you improve your interpersonal relationships in your family and your jobs, you improve your education and your ability to seize opportunities and to be more aware. So health is true wealth, right? People we have now, you can see they're getting older and older. They want to live forever, chirogenic. They want to cut off my head and put it in a box and wake me up when I'm older and I'll take all my stuff with me. Life's not about living forever. There's a reason that we live and die. They're the inhale and the exhale. They're supposed to be together. And that's why I like the saying I just learned that every new form of technology is an amputation of humanity. And I think we're seeing that more and more every day. You know, people have realized that social media is basically a disease because you get people who are sick, and most of us are sick, and they go on this place where they don't have any repercussions because there's no face-to-face contact, and they just share their sickness with the rest of the world. And they ask for help from this fake digital environment, and that basically just amputates more of your conversational skills, more of your interpersonal, more of your intimacy skills, more of your exercise, your sleep pattern. Everything is disrupted by this thing that we think empowers us. And we want clicks and these little metrics. Who cares about your clicks and your metrics? What is your purpose? What is your loyalty to your family, to yourself, to your country, to your state? Where does your loyalty lie? If your loyalty is just in amassing huge amounts of wealth and fame, well, good, I guess, but it seems a little vacuous, a little shallow, and a little bit kind of boring. So that's why I'm choosing to run for governor, to do something that's never been done before in Colorado and be an independent. And this is not saying that I think earlier, like I said, that, oh, I hate the whole Democrats or I hate all the Republicans. I don't hate anybody. I see value and perfection in everybody. And maybe that's a little bit naive of me, but I feel that it's a way that allows me to see the perfection and the creation and the opportunity as a reflection. I see it in everybody else. I see it in myself. So, yeah, my campaign is basically going to be one of, this transparency and conversations with me. And I'm trying to be, I guess I'm more of like a philosopher, right? The philosopher king like Marcus Aurelius, even though I'm not fighting every day anymore. I'm trying to fight the good fight for the people, for you guys. And it's not going to be easy, but it is simple. And the more I've been doing it, the more I've been speaking with you, it's apparent that I'm the number one candidate to be governor in Colorado. I wish there was more people who were qualified to actually go against. The more I looked into it, I go, really? This is what we have to choose from? Huh. No wonder people are disillusioned and sick when they hear about the word government. And it shouldn't be that way because the government is you and I. The government's the biggest employer in the United States. And that is one of the things that I hope to do, is to get some of that efficiency, right? Make it even 10% more efficient, saves billions of dollars, and everybody's a little happier. So we can do these small things together. Go to the website, joncollamer.com, if you want to volunteer, learn more about the campaign, donate. Definitely can't do it alone. Definitely can't do it with no money. But my plan is to meet people personally and give you guys the buttons personally, like I've been doing, and have real conversations with real people. So again, go to joncollamer.com. That's JONCOLLAMER, JONCOLLAMER, JONCOLLAMER.com. You can donate, learn more, share these videos, and I'm just super excited, man. We're gonna do this together. So I'm really happy and really excited to be with you guys, changing America and showing that democracy is still alive. All right? Have a great day. Bye-bye.